adopt your your niece from Pakistan, but it's a whole lot more difficult than I believe you think it is. Pakistan is part of the Hague Convention, and under immigration law, if you're going to do an adoption, it has to go through the Hague Convention, which means that there are entities on the Pakistani side and there are entities on the U.S. side, and each of those entities must communicate with each other, and the adoption, of course, must be started, finished, and completed and signed by the judge before this person turns 16, and you must have 2 years of living with this child, not just the fact that you have pictures together. That's irrelevant. You don't have to prove a bona fide relationship in order to do the adoption, at least not for the immigration side of it. So what happens is it is insanely paper intensive on both sides, and it takes a long time. It is much more difficult than if you came from a country that did not have that was not part of the Hague Convention. Pakistan, I believe, entered the Hague Convention in 2020, and so if you're going to adopt as of now, which I assume you are since this question is about 2 weeks old, then you have to do it through the Hague Convention. I've had people who don't have any clue about this, and they try to adopt themselves. They do adopt themselves, and then they come to my office, they being the parents, and they say, okay, how can we bring them in now? Only to find out that the adoption has to be revoked, everything has to be started over, and it all has to go through the proper channels. The reason they made the Hague Convention in this regard is so that there wouldn't be any child trafficking, or at least the amount of it would be greatly decreased. There of course has to be massive checks on both sides, meaning the Pakistani side, the U.S. side. The parents have to go through a very intensive home health type analysis, people at their homes and so forth. I mean, it takes years for all this to go through, and you better put aside $25,000 at least for all of the fees, for the adoption fees, the attorney's fees, everything else that's going to be needed. I mean, I'm not trying to dissuade you from doing this. I'm just giving you a realistic picture so that you don't think, on day one you want to adopt a 9-year-old, and by the time this child reaches 9 years and 1 month, that child will be in the U.S. It does not work anywhere near like that. So, if you want to do this, you have to make sure it's done right. You have to go through the Hague Convention, and there's multiple other things you have to do in order to make it happen. If this child's parents are in Pakistan, it actually might be easier, more effective, and faster to let the parents immigrate here somehow. And then if they do, then the child would be a derivative and be able to come to the U.S., and then the whole adoption picture changes from there. Okay?